patient got admitted in one hospital for fibroid treatment. The treatment plan was uterus removal, that is hysterectomy. And midnight, 2 a.m., she went through a reel on fibroid embolization. So her surgery was planned at 2
The next
p.m.
day.
in the afternoon.
Yeah.
She took discharge at 8 a.m. in the morning.
Acha.
Came to my OPD at around 11 o'clock. Surprising that people are not aware of uterus saving surgery in fibroid.
What's most common symptom of uterine fibroid which often gets ignored?
Heavy bleeding? A simple ultrasound, sonography will detect most of the fibroid.
You can't get pregnant if you have fibroids.
With fibroid, pregnancy is possible.
Imagine living with a condition that slowly reshapes your body, disrupts your life, steals your mental peace, yet barely anyone talks about it. For those millions of women out in the world who bleed for weeks together, endure chronic pain, face fertility issues, yes, we are talking about the harsh reality of uterine fibroid. Uterine fibroid is just not a medical condition, it's a personal, social, and emotional battle. And today, we are here to talk about it with Dr. Kaurabizade. Dr. Kaurabizade, an exceptionally skilled vascular and interventional radiologist at Sayadri Hospital, Pune. Her journey from GMC Nagpur to super specialization at Tata Memorial Hospital and earning international distinctions like EBR and European Diploma in Stroke Interventions reflects just not her academic brilliance, but her unwavering commitment towards patient care. She is just not a clinician, a passionate researcher, a global contributor who is known for pushing her boundaries when it comes to patient care, a true beacon of modern medicine with a human heart. Dr. Kaurabizade. Hello and welcome to another episode of Sayadri Health Talks. I'm Dr. Tushita and today we have with us Dr. Kaurabizade. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Hi, Tushita. How are you?
I'm good, ma'am. How are you? But you look exceptionally beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. And it's a nice beginning on this Saturday morning with
you.
such a nice motivational word.
It's so good to have you on this podcast.
Thank you.
And,
thank you.
We were going through a lot of things which people need to create, awareness about. And we stumbled upon today's topic, which is uterine fibroid,
Yeah.
which we felt that is very rarely spoken or people might, tend to ignore it or miss out on it.
Maybe they don't know.
Yes. So it's time to create some awareness on that.
Yeah.
So we'll get on that. But before we hit the topic, I really wanted to understand this part. We have heard about physicians. We have heard about surgeons.
Yeah.
What's an interventional radiologist? Because when it comes to the word radiologist, we typically think a person who is into radiology department, which is surely not in your case.
Yeah.
So help us understand and our viewers what is interventional radiologist.
So let's discuss it this way. What picture came to your mind when you heard the term interventional radiologist?
That some surgical part of it involved, right?
So radiology, everyone know that it's sonography, ultrasound, MRI. Now what interventional radiologist can do? It's like intervention, like some kind of surgery. That word itself indicates intervention. But radiology means we are taking the help of radiological equipments in form of CT scan, ultrasonography, angiography machines. So basically, we are seeing the image and then treating it. So the precision is high. So that is the reason it is interventional radiologist. That is image guided. We see the image. We take the help of the guide in form of ultrasound, CT scan, MRI, or angiography, and then we treat it. So the advantage of this is the precision because we are exactly precising where the disease is. So technically, it is image guided surgery. What interventional radiologist does.
Okay, so that's all about interventional radiologist. So now coming to today's topic, ma'am, which is uterine fibroid. it's a very common condition when
Yeah.
it comes to women health,
Yeah.
but not many of women out there, because the symptoms are mimicking something which is regular with a heavy period pain or maybe period symptoms. So what are your thoughts on that?
So, uterine fibroid, if we see, it's a very common disease. Many of the women's don't even aware of it. Like if we go by statistics, almost 30% of Indian women are suffering from uterine
Almost
fibroid.
30%.
Almost
That's a
30.
huge number.
And the age group which is defined for uterine fibroid is 30 to 50 years.
Acha.
So if we see the data that 30 to 50 years females in India, you can imagine 30% of these women are suffering from uterine fibroid. So it's a big health issue.
Issues, right? So, ma'am, when it comes to treatment of uterine fibroid, how does the role of interventional radiologist differs from gynecologist? Why I'm asking this question is because typically when it comes to women health, the first specialization that comes to mind is a gynecologist.
Yeah.
So, how is the role different from a gynecologist?
So first of all, if any woman, right, if you have a uterine fibroid, will you think of an interventional radiologist?
No, exactly.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah.
First thing that will come to your mind is let's go to gynecologist. Okay.
Yes.
So at the beginning of this podcast, what I suggested, what an interventional radiologist is, we do an image guided surgery. Okay. So fibroid can be treated in multiple ways. Like if you're going to gynecologist, nothing wrong.
Nothing
That is
wrong.
the first perception. But there are other ways of treating a uterine fibroid other than surgery, and that is where an interventional radiologist comes. And that is the role of you and me to create an
Create that
awareness,
awareness,
regarding
correct.
this
Through
alternate
this
treatment
podcast.
option.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, ma'am. So now coming to the uterine fibroid, right? There's something called as uterine fibroid embolization, which is a treatment part of uterine fibroid. But before we proceed there, help us understand what exactly is a uterine fibroid and then about the procedure.
So basically, what uterine fibroid is, it's an abnormal growth of muscles of uterus.
Okay.
So there are different locations where this muscles can grow in the uterus.
Okay.
So if we see by medical literature, it can be subserosal, it is between the muscles, near endometrium. So the abnormal muscle growth, depending on the location, it causes different problems. So one thing, it's not a cancer. It's an abnormal growth of muscles. So anything which grows, like for example, you do gym, your muscle grows. So it requires nutrition, right?
Correct.
Similarly, for this muscles in the uterus to grow, it will require nutrition. And how the nutrition goes in the body? It's through blood supply.
Correct.
So what exactly uterine fibroid embolization does? Everyone have heard about heart angiography, right?
Correct.
But nobody knows that rest of the body also angiography can be done.
Achha.
So similarly, angiography of uterus is done. We find the blood vessel which supply this
that particular
fibroid
mass, that growth.
Yeah, and then we block it with small particles. So once the blood supply is stopped, it cannot get the nutrition, and this abnormal growth stops, and then it starts shrinking. So it is basically what is needed that is stopped, and then the growth is stopped. This is how uterine fibroid embolization works.
So how does this surgery happen, ma'am? Is it is it a laparoscopic, or how is it? What kind of surgery is this?
So that is the most advantage point of uterine fibroid embolization. Basically, it's a minimally invasive surgery.
Yes.
Like if surgery word comes to your mind, the first thing is कितने टाके लगेंगे.
कितने टाके लगेंगे, correct.
कहाँ पर टाके लगेंगे,
कितने दिन तक
टाके
चलेगा,
का निशान रहेगा,
correct.
And मुझे कितने दिन bed rest लगेगा. I'm right. These are
Very
the
true.
common questions when the word surgery comes to your mind.
Yes.
So let me clear it one by one. कितने टाके लगेंगे? 0 टाके.
Zero
Okay?
टाके.
So this is very important. No taka. So basically, it is done through a small needle prick. Either we go from the radial artery, which
Acha.
is this,
अच्छा.
or if radial artery is not good, we go from the femoral, यानी पैर के
पैर
तरफ
के,
का एक
correct.
artery होता है वहां से.
Correct.
So there are no
Cuts.
no suture. Then through this, a small pipe-like
Hmm.
structure, very thin, just thicker than hair, goes inside the uterine artery. It goes there. Then very fine particles, you may say 300, 500, 700 microns. You can imagine it could be like this. This much particles goes inside that arteries to block the blood supply. And once that blood supply is blocked, we take it out.
अच्छा.
Okay. So
absolutely no incision.
no incision. It's no incision. Then second question is cosmetic.
Yeah.
Okay. तो incision ही नहीं है तो scar भी
scar
नहीं
के
है.
chances ही
Right?
नहीं. Correct.
Then third thing is bed rest, because this fibroid, the women who are suffering from the fibroids, they have kids school, the household chores, and also the professional work to be taken care. So many women I have seen, they are ignoring their treatment because they find it logistically difficult to set the things, right? If I am getting operated, who will take care of my
the rest
family,
of the stuff? Yes.
kids, everything. So basically in this, you don't need a bed rest. Fibroid embolization, normally we discharge the patient within 24 hours. Yes, they have little pain post embolization because ultimately that thing is getting dead inside your body. So it is going to release some pain and rest of the thing. So pain is there, that is normally controlled with good painkiller and analgesia. Normally within 7 days, you are back to normal.
Achha.
For 7 days, you don't need any bed rest. You will be around, you do your all activities. The pain part will be there a little bit, but still you can work, you can do your stuff. At least you will be around and you're not dependent on anyone.
And this pain can be very well managed.
Yeah, managed with like with modern medicine, we have good painkiller control, and these things can be managed in a very nice way.
Okay. So ma'am, is there any category of patients who are not ideal for this UFE?
Look, there are few technical things where UFE cannot be done. For example, when in doubt, we do an MRI for fibroid.
Achha.
So there are two important types of fibroid. We can't treat it with embolization. In that, it's a pedunculated fibroid. Pedunculated means क्या? For example, आपने पत्ता गोभी this cabbage or cauliflower देखा रहेगा, तो उसका नीचे से एक stem होता है and then it grows.
Correct.
So sometimes fibroid grows
like that.
It has a stem and then it grows outside the uterus.
Achha.
When it grows this way, fibroid embolization doesn't help because the dead part can then rotate in the abdomen. So that is not possible. Then second is broad ligament fibroid. Means जो uterus के बाहर कभी कभी fibroid होता है, जो side का area है. If fibroid is on that location, still we don't go ahead with the fibroid embolization. Rest, and the third, a relative contraindication is very huge fibroid, maybe 17-18 centimeter.
Oh.
In that case, sometimes we do fibroid embolization followed by surgery. Achha. Because when such a big fibroid is removed without surgery, there are chances of excessive bleeding. So it's a combined procedure sometimes when the fibroid is very big. So technically there are two types of fibroids which we cannot embolize.
Is there a perception that UFE affects fertility? And what does current evidence actually say?
Yeah. So this is actually a very serious question to be answered because there is lot of research going on and already few established data on it. So fibroid embolization versus myomectomy and future fertility, because if the female wants pregnancy in future and she have fibroid and she needs to decide whether fibroid embolization will give you a better chances of fertility in future or myomectomy.
Achha.
So there are multiple research done all over the world, and the best quality of research जो होता है is the randomized control trial. यानी जो पेशेंट्स को ब्लाइंडली डिस्ट्रीब्यूट किया जाता है, that this is the same size type of fibroid, and they distribute the patient. This patient will go for myomectomy, this patient will go for fibroid embolization. And then they had compared what was the pregnancy rate in both the groups. And the research says that the after fibroid embolization and myomectomy, the chances of future fertility are same. With fibroid embolization, we already know the advantages are better in terms of recovery, side effect, no scar. But if we compare only and only future fertility, definitely fibroid embolization and myomectomy both stands at the same place.
So, ma'am, to our viewers,
Yeah.
to all those girls or ladies in their 30s and 40s
Yeah.
who have, who bleed very heavy during their periods, what message do you want to give out to them?
So, first of all, the most important message from my side is take care of your health. Because I have seen, these are the true stories, the females who are suffering 7, 8 years with heavy bleeding and severe pain because of fibroids, and they are not getting treated themselves because they knew the only option, I don't know whether it is a misconception, misguidance, I don't know, but they knew that the only option is to remove the uterus.
Yes.
And with that fear, they are not getting
They continue
treated,
to
and they
suffer.
continue to bleed.
Yes.
They continue to bleed. They come into the OPD with a hemoglobin of 6.
Oh my
They are
God.
exhausted.
Yeah.
They are suffering 10 and 15 days of heavy bleeding.
Yeah, and then
It's-
so much
it's-
of
Yeah.
health-wise also.
health-wise, the quality of life, they are
yes.
using almost 8 to 10 pads per day.
Oh
It's
my
a
God,
serious
that's quite
health
heavy.
issue.
Yes.
But the awareness is less. That is what my point is.
Okay, ma'am. So moving on to the next segment of today's podcast, which is Mythbusters. So I'll quickly read out a few myths, which I'm sure you are tired of hearing. So let's break it once
Yeah.
for all. Fibroids always cause symptoms.
Small fibroids don't cause symptoms. It depends upon the size and location. Some may cause, some doesn't cause.
Okay. Fibroids are cancerous and can turn into cancer.
No, fibroids are non-cancer growth. Out of 10,000, one may turn to be cancerous.
1 in 10,000. Okay. You can't get pregnant if you have fibroids.
With fibroid, pregnancy is possible, but it's better if you know you have fibroid, get it treated before pregnancy. Otherwise, pregnancy can get complicated.
Fibroids only affect overweight or older women.
Fibroids affect the young age group. It's between 30 to 50. Yeah, obesity is a risk factor, but not the older age.
Okay. Fibroids shrink after menopause, so don't treat them.
So it depends. Yeah, with menopause, your hormonal level
Goes
down,
Yes.
and hormone is a stimulant for fibroid to
Fibroid.
grow. But at the same time, if your menopause, before your menopause, if your fibroid is 15 centimeter, it needs to be
It
treated.
needs to be treated.
Yeah, you cannot be with 15 centimeter fibroid. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Birth control pills causes fibroids.
Birth control pills contains hormones, so it can increase the growth of fibroid.
Achha. You can shrink fibroids with diet and supplements. only.
Basically, a healthy lifestyle helps in preventing the fibroid, but that doesn't mean that the 7 centimeter or 8 centimeter
Can shrink on its
fibroid
own.
will shrink on its own.
Okay, if you have fibroids, your periods will always be heavy.
So it depends. Some fibroids will not cause any symptom. It will just make you look pregnant with its big size.
Okay.
Because as it starts growing, your tummy becomes bigger and bigger. But few very small fibroids will cause heavy bleeding. Few may cause backache. So
Okay.
it all depends where your fibroid is located.
Correct. If your mom had fibroids, you are doomed to.
No.
So it's not hereditary.
It's not hereditary.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, as we speak about heavy bleeding and occurrence of fibroids being so common in people, typically, so are there any tests that can be done annually just to rule out?
Yeah.
Because many of us, we feel that this kind of heavy periods we have been getting all our lives.
Yeah.
So this is normal. So is there any test that one should get done?
So it's very important to get a regular health checkup.
Okay.
Okay, it will, and fibroids are very easy to diagnose. a simple ultrasound sonography will detect,
detect
most of the fibroids. And all fibroid doesn't require treatment. If you have a 2 centimeter fibroid, it's just incidentally detected on your
Okay.
ultrasound. That's okay. No worries. You don't have any symptoms. Just follow it up.
Mm.
At least you will be aware
Mm.
that if it is growing,
So you can keep an
slowly,
eye on
yeah, keep
it,
an eye
right?
on it.
That
If it is growing after 5 years, it is becoming 6 centimeters. Get it treated.
Get it treated.
Yeah.
Correct. A few rapid fire questions for you. What's most common symptom of uterine fibroid which often gets ignored?
Heavy bleeding.
How can you tell if how can somebody know if they have fibroids?
Ultrasonography.
What's the most surprising thing you have learned about fibroids in your career?
Surprising that people are not aware of uterus saving surgery in fibroid.
Okay. Are there any lifestyle changes that help with fibroid symptoms?
So, weight reduction, avoid high carbs food, less carbs. So, basically, a healthy lifestyle, a high fiber food helps in decreasing the symptoms.
Can fibroids be detected through routine pelvic exam?
Yeah, if the fibroid is very big, a simple examination by a doctor can tell that the uterus is bulky and that can be detected. But definitively, ultrasound
Is the go. Is there any connection between diet and fibroid growth? I mean, are there any particular diet or food items which may lead to fibroid
Yeah,
growth?
so basically, right now you all are aware that there is lot of adulteration in the food, especially the
Yes.
dairy products.
Yes.
So they are feeded with estrogens.
Uh-huh.
So this kind of products, like previously it was not. Like if you go for 20 years back, the milk what we are drinking was without estrogen,
Correct.
right? But right now, whatever the dairy products we are getting is full of this hormones. Okay, so all these things can add to the growth of your
Growth of
fibroid. So
the
basically, your weight control, finding a healthy lifestyle, all these things are going to help.
How soon after fibroid treatment can a woman return to her daily activity?
Maybe in 2 or 3 days.
Okay. What's one piece of advice you would give to someone recently diagnosed with fibroids?
Get yourself aware, uterus removal is not the only option. Uterine fibroid embolization is a very good non-surgical option for fibroid.
Is fibroid removal a must for women who are planning pregnancy?
You can go for fibroid embolization.
Correct. So, ma'am, now before we wind up today's podcast, share us some case which is very close to your heart and which has left a mark in your heart, in your memory.
So I can tell you many stories because each fibroid comes with a story.
Yeah.
Because in India there is lack of awareness about fibroid embolization. So each story is unique, but I will try to highlight one or two small stories. One story I remember, patient got admitted in one hospital for fibroid treatment, and the treatment plan was uterus removal, that is hysterectomy.
Hysterectomy.
And midnight 2 a.m. she went through a reel on fibroid embolization. So her surgery was planned at 2
The next
p.m.
day.
in the afternoon.
Yeah.
She took discharge at 8 a.m. in the morning. Came to my OPD at around 11 o'clock, and she told me, I took a discharge from hospital. I didn't want to go for a surgery, and please tell me about it. So this is a little like people are not aware. They want to avoid surgery for fibroid, but the awareness is less. And the second story was a bit emotional story. Young girl, she was in her 30 and she came far away from Pune, somewhere around Jamshedpur, and she was about to be married in next 2 months. Okay, but she was detected with fibroid of around 17, very big fibroid. And wherever the opinion was taken, the option given to her was surgery, removal of fibroid, and may end up removing the uterus as well. Because like a big fibroid can cause heavy bleeding, and sometimes in emergency we have to remove the uterus. So like a girl who is getting married, and if this risk is happening, that may end up removing the uterus. It's a big thing, like she could not get. So then she came searching for fibroid embolization. She landed up with us. We went ahead with the fibroid embolization with due risk because it was a very big fibroid. We told them, we will, it will take time to shrink, but we will save your uterus for sure. And then she got married after 2 months, and still she messages, okay, I'm fine, I'm good. So this was a little emotional touch to that fibroid, because that was a big thing. Like, we do fibroid embolization day in day out, but that one fibroid embolization changed the entire life of that girl.
So, ma'am, you always wanted to be an intervention radiologist?
Once I entered the medical school, so entering the radiology was an accident, because I wanted to go for medicine. Somehow I went into radiology.
We love
and
that. We are so happy that the accident happened.
But radiology, I found it to be very boring for me, because I wanted something going on. And then I had an inspiration of my seniors who guided me, and then I ended up into an interventional radiology.
That's wonderful, and it's so wonderful to see the journey that you have done so far, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
And thanks once again for coming on this podcast. It was lovely having this discussion with you. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of information on uterine fibroid we have shared today.
So we took
and just
this
like
topic.
how that patient of yours accidentally landed up in that reel and took a discharge and came, we hope that anybody who needs help right now stumbles upon this podcast, gets the right information, and gets the right treatment. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.